Welcome everyone, I'm Lizzie Brooks and this is Muscle Meets Mindful. So today we're just going to do a pretty short practice that's just for checking in, grounding, getting a little more calm and centered, and just getting the body moving a little bit. So from here, bring yourself to any seated position that feels good. I have a blanket underneath me that lifts my hips up roughly the same height or a little higher than my knees, and that makes my low back and hips feel good. So choose something that works, and then close your eyes and bring your hands to your heart center. And come to your breathing. And recognize that you're human and that you might not just drop right into the breath or right into meditation or right into focus, but that it's a process. And I'm not asking you to wipe your mind clean or blank. I'm asking that you give something a little more focus, be it your breath, a word that you've chosen, a sensation that you want to keep feeling, or maybe something you want to cultivate, like calm. So just keep bringing your attention to what you've chosen and allow all the other distractions to melt away. And when they come into your sphere, just lovingly recognize that they did and that you're human, and then let them move on. And set an intention for how you'd like your day to go or your practice. Take a few more breaths. The key to calm is truly the breath. I didn't believe that for many years. I was resistant, and I'm no longer resistant. Inhale slowly and fully, and sigh out, shake it out. Good, just shake off the clutter a little bit, move around a little bit, whatever you already intuitively know. Ooh, snap, crackle, pop, let that go. And then from here, we're just gonna inhale, bring both arms up. Exhale, twist to one side, and just let the arms float forward and down. So one forward and one back and down. Inhale, reach up, take the torso forward. Exhale, gentle twist to the other side, arms just float naturally down. Inhale, reach, and exhale, gentle twist. One more time, inhale, reach, torso forward, exhale, take it to the other side. And then inhale all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart, interlace your fingers and round the spine, open the back. Take a full breath there. On your next inhale, come all the way up. You can keep the hands interlaced or let that go. And exhale slowly, arms coming down. Roll the shoulders a few times. And then lay one ear towards one shoulder without force. Roll down through the midline and take that to the other side. And once more, each side rolling over. And then down, excuse me, and to the other side. And then let the head hang down towards the heart. And one vertebra at a time, restack the cervical spine all the way up. And take a sigh out there. Good. All right, so come to all fours. I like to use my blanket underneath my knees for some padding. You might have something that you like, a blanket or a towel. And then we'll come to all fours and really get that sense that you're grounding. So a lot of times when we get stuck in our head, we're walking around and our chin is leading us and our eyes are leading us. But when we get that sense and we get that moment of putting our hands down on the floor and realizing, oh, there's the ground. Yes, okay, stable. So use that to your advantage. Put a little fingerprint down and then just move this forward and back. So you're not bobbing the hips up and down, but rather keeping the whole trunk stabilized without collapse, right? And just moving that forward and back. If you want to make this a little more challenging, go a little more forward and a little more back while keeping the deep abdominals lifting. And then from here, inhale to all fours. Exhale, round the spine like you did when your fingers were interlaced. Use the inhalation to roll you back in the opposite direction, any amount. Think length, more there's a word, more than height. So rather than thinking of the hips and the heart going high, think about the hips and the heart moving away from each other. And then go back to a neutral position. Keep the toes tucked if that feels okay to open the arches and the toes. Press back into a child's pose. Crawl the arms a little further forward to really get into the lats and the side body. Take a full cycle of breath there. And then from here, coming back to all fours. Now we're gonna get a little more into the upper body and then the back. So I recommend opening your blanket a little more or getting rid of it completely. And then hands are not gonna be on the blanket, but rather in front of it. And then we're gonna use that same rocking position with an elbow bend. So from here, again, stabilize, rock a little bit forward, bend your elbows straight back, just about ½ an inch, straighten them out, and then press back into an almost child's pose. Inhale, come any amount forward. Exhale, baby bend, press back up, and exhale back. So we're just bringing some blood flow, a little more heat, a little more challenge. This can be almost an imperceptible bend, and then a press and back because you're still working the core and the upper body. Or this can be a lot more of a bend if you feel like you have a good amount of strength going on or you need more of a challenge. Never collapsing at that low back, nice amount of support. And back, and we'll do that one more time in whichever range of movement feels appropriate for you. And then either take a nice long child's pose here, maybe this time the tops of the feet come down and the knees go wide if that feels okay, or you can move into a downward dog if downward dog is part of your practice and feels comfortable. I always like to put a bend in my knees or do a little alternating bend and straightening just to deliver some soft stretch to the back body. And then from here, we'll join in all fours and we'll come all the way down onto the belly. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you can stay up here and continue what we were doing, or you can always move on to the back for other work that you prefer. I know some of you coming to the belly right now isn't helpful. So we'll come down and reach the arms back behind you. Make sure your rib cage and your pelvis are on the same height. So if you're using a blanket, same height. Roll your shoulder blades onto the back and reach the arms back. If you were in an all fours position, you would do one at a time here. If you're on your back, you might be doing a bridge pose or modified bridge. Shoulder blades onto the back, tops of the feet down, little baby cobra lift. Okay, little baby lift. So kind of a Shalabhasana Cobra marriage there. And then sense where you feel that work in the back and maybe then change by lifting the feet and the shins and see where you feel that work. Breathing. If you were lifting one arm in all fours, put the other hand down and switch sides. Working that back body, opening the chest. Inhale fully. And exhale, come all the way down. And then take a rest. So my microphone is in the way, so I'm not gonna come all the way down, but you can lay down or put your forehead or one side of your head on your hands. And then release the low back, however that feels good to you. You might wanna wiggle the hips a little side to side, make sure you're not holding it or tensing at the glutes anymore at all. And then from here, hands alongside of the chest, using similar work that we just did to use that transition and go back to either your child's pose or your downward facing dog. So again, this is a shorter practice. It's gonna have some stretch, some strength, and main focus is breath. We'll come back down to all fours and fold the blanket again, back to where you started. You might want to use a couple of blocks here if you don't have blocks, books, or anything that's around roughly maybe 6 inches of height, 4 to 6 inches of height. And then stepping your right foot forward, fingertips to the blocks, root down into the floor. Top of the back foot could be down or toes tucked. See what feels better for your knee and the front of your hip and low back. And then rise up with the sternum. So not with the chin, not with the gaze, but with the sternum. So keep the aspect of what was working for your Shalabhasana Cobra combination here in this lunge. Opening here the front of the hip. If we've been sitting a lot, that might feel nice. Inhale. Exhale, shift back into your half Hanumanasana. This series is one of my favorite things to do just because it covers so much ground. So spread your front set of toes, drag your front leg's hip crease back. Breathe here. And then we'll go back into our lunge, roll up any amount. And then hands to the block, shift the weight, the hips back. So draw the weight back a little bit and then take the knee back. Rise up onto the knees, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Interlace your fingers, round the spine. Let your hips hinge back a little bit. You'll feel the core musculature engage and open that back body and shimmy it out a little bit. Inhale, fingers can be interlaced or not as the hips come over the knees. Exhale, float the arms down, soften those shoulders out, and we'll take the left foot forward, find our blocks, or maybe the fingertips are on the floor, back toes are tucked or not. Inhale, from the floor up, find the just right amount of stretch. Breathe here. Inhale, and then we'll shift back into that half Hanumanasana. So spreading now those front set of toes, that might be your left side, draw that left hip crease back, and breathe open the back of the leg gently. So again, not like going for extremes. I'm not trying to lay my chest down. I'm actually coming away from it and growing out of the pelvis as the hip draws back. That's going to be a little more for the IT band as well, the side of the leg. Good, and then we'll come back into our spacious heart opener here without collapse, without force. And then shift the weight back, hands to the blocks, knee back, rise up, reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart, interlace the opposite finger on top, round and open the back body while using your deep core musculature. Inhale to rise. Exhale, float the arms down, roll the shoulders back and down a few times. And then you can move your blocks to the side. And any amount of height that you need under the hips, add that. Something soft again, like a blanket or a towel, and come to a seated position here. This time we're gonna go back to that twist. We're gonna visit it. We're gonna change it a little bit. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, twist to one side, and either you can keep your fingers where they were the first time, or you can reach that front arm over to the opposite knee and breathe here. And that will allow you to turn just a little bit more, twist just a little bit more, keeping the pelvis from turning, but keeping the pelvis where it is and just rotating as much as feels comfortable. A few breaths there. Inhale, reach up, arms rise, and we'll just go to the other side with that twist. So I'm not trying to crane or crank myself around and really turn my head around, but just nice, soft, a little bit of leverage, getting into a little bit of a new space. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands down to the heart, roll the shoulders around a few times. Let's come on down to the mat. And you can roll down, you can just flop down, however that feels good. Hug the knees in. Rock a little side to side. Do whatever feels okay in the hips if there's some movement there that feels right. And then soles of the feet come down. You're going to cross your right ankle to the top of the left knee, and you might stay there, okay? If you want a little bit more, bring the legs in, interlace behind or in front of that left knee. Spread your toes wide like you did in your half Hanumanasana, and rock a little side to side here, opening that hip, that right hip, and the glutes. It's pretty synonymous there, hip, glutes, all of that. Ooh, get into that soft tissue, use your breath. For those of you who are really a lot more flexible and you want more for the hamstrings, you can straighten the knee behind you and either use a strap around that arch or reach the back of the leg there. You can be still or move a little side to side. And then release, hug both knees in, point the toes, open the front of the ankles. And then soles of the feet come down, left ankle crosses, stay here or draw in and interlace in front or behind that right knee. Spread the toes and maybe add that little left to right. You can stay here exploring or go ahead and straighten the other leg, spreading those toes of that foot and breathing there. If you straighten that leg, bend it, draw both knees in, point the toes, then flex, point and flex. Soles of the feet come down. Rock a little bit side to side until you can get the shoulder blades under the chest or under the heart. Soles of the feet are on the floor about hips distance apart, underneath the knees or maybe a little forward, and lift up for your bridge pose or for your restorative bridge pose by taking a block on the lowest height, not on the tailbone, not on the low back, but on the sacrum in between, breathing there. And then if you decided to use the block, remove that and slowly roll down. And bring the legs forward. If you like to have a blanket rolled under the knees or add any amount of propping underneath the head or the spine, do that. Close the eyes. And come back to the breath. So if any time during that practice you lost the breath again, that's because you're human, okay? It's the coming back to the breath that counts, all right? So rest here. Thank yourself for doing this practice, for making time just to take care of your body. So your body is your home. So we need to take care of it, keep it clean, and keep it a place where you want to be. So when you are feeling cranky or uptight, maybe we need to move around a little bit. And then it becomes more inviting to us and we feel more at peace here. Deep breath in. Big sigh out. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you would like a longer Shavasana, please bring that into your practice. And if this video serves you, please share it widely, like and subscribe. And I hope you have a beautiful day. The light of my heart honors the light of your hearts. Namaste, everyone.